Welcome to episode 14 of Two Guys, One Sport. We are angry tonight. My name is Chris.
I'm George. Happy Thursday. Happy
Thursday.
UK election day. We'll be hanging out with some British people and talking and doing all sorts of fun wrestling stuff.
Yeah. It's a busy show tonight. We've got Extreme Rules recaps. We got Dominion preview. Look back at the Best of Super Juniors final. Just a lot of stuff to talk about.
We got a lot, and we have an existential question at the end of the show. So we call that a teaser in the radio business.
A lot of good, a lot of bad. It's gonna be quite a show tonight. So let's start off. Let's just jump right into our matches of the week. I'll go first this week. We're going back to May 14th, Karakin Hall show that Stardom ran. I said I was going to come back to this match the week that I covered the Kairi and Mayu Wonder of Stardom title match. I said I was going to come back to the other one, and this is the other one. This is Io Shirai and Toni Storm for the World of Stardom title match. This is Toni's cash-in after winning the Cinderella tournament. The winner of the Cinderella tournament automatically gets a World of Stardom title shot to be determined at a later date. And this was Toni's cash-in of that. Now, Toni Storm and Io Shirai, obviously two of the best female wrestlers in the world, two of the best wrestlers in the world, period. And this match was an exhibition of amazing talent, and it's a reason why both of them were on WWE's radar, why Io Shirai's already been signed, and why Toni Storm is likely to be signed at some point in the future. Just a lot of great mat work, a lot of great high flying. I'm not going to get into a lot of specifics because the match was half an hour long. And we've got, like I said, we've got a lot to cover, so I'm going to keep it short. But this was just an amazing match of just every aspect of professional wrestling hard at work. Lots of great limb selling, lots of great targeting of different aspects of both women's offenses. Toni especially going after Io's legs to try and inhibit her from being able to hit the moonsault. Just a lot of really strong selling on both their parts and a lot of great offense. Just all over the place. Everything about this match was fantastic, and in the end, it's probably going to be one of my top 5 matches of the year until their eventual rematch that I'm sure they'll have at some point. The both of them are just far too talented to not cross paths again, and I'm sure that before Io makes her way over to WWE, there will be a rematch between Io Shirai and Toni Storm. Whether it's for the title at that point is up in the air. But I will say that this match did go to a time limit draw, thus the need for a rematch, because it was just like it was with the Okada Tanahashi match at the end of the end of the G1 there. Or the hand was coming down for the 3 count for Toni to pin Io, and then the bell rang, and that was it. And Toni was just distraught. Like, oh my God, I was within 1 second of having the title, half a second of winning the title.
That's so great. That sounds so awesome. I gotta watch this, man. I gotta bite the bullet and drop the $8 and get Stardom World. I have to. Isn't it like $9 or something? Like it's expensive.
$8 a month.
Yeah, I spend more than that on lunch one day. Yeah. I got to do it.
It's well worth it. I mean, there's so many great matches that have happened in 2017 alone in Stardom, and this is easily one of the best. Definitely seek this match out if you are unfamiliar with anything involving Stardom. This is a great place to start. I mean, yeah, there are other matches that certainly are more well-known classics, to be sure. But this match is just like, if you want just a pure exhibition of talent, having no idea what Stardom is capable of, this is probably the best place to start, because like this is the top tier of talent in Stardom competing against each other, and they tore the house down. Like I said, the crowd in Stardom love Toni Storm. And they love Io Shirai because Io Shirai is the ace, but they love Toni Storm also. Like, they've become so invested in Toni during her time in Stardom, and because Toni's obviously also invested in making Stardom, a priority for herself. And so the crowd was into it for both of them. They're just dueling cheers for both of them, and like huge anticipation of every big spot that happened. Just that made the match even better. Like, they say a hot crowd makes a good match great and a great match legendary. That made this match legendary. Easily is going to be one of the best, if not the best match that Stardom has in 2017. Just flat out fantastic from bell to bell. So definitely seek this match out and give it a watch, and you will likely feel the same.
I will.
All right. Hit me.
My match of the week, I haven't actually seen the whole match, but I'll tell you why in a second. First of all, I want to give a shout out to our guy and fellow podcaster, Don Sal Cusimano, for tipping me off this match happened.
Okay.
Second of all, I want to give a shout out to the Cubs fan / Lucha Blog on Twitter, your one-stop shop for anything south of the border wrestling related. Because, Brother Chris, my boy, Marco Corleone is the new CMLL heavyweight champion. Marco and his unbelievable abs are the champ.
I mean, this is quite a contrast from Maximo Sexy to Marco Corleone.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, Marco Corleone is a former WWE, I don't want to call him washout, but a former WWE project named Mark Jindrak, who totally reinvented himself, went down to Mexico, and is super, super, super over. If you haven't watched a Friday night CMLL show on Claro Sports, which is free, you should. He's always one of the most popular guys there. The women love him. The men love him. CMLL is very traditional. They cheer faces and boo heels for the most part. It's not like, Raw or SmackDown where people do what they want. Marco's super over. According to Lucha Blog, he is the, 19th champion, first foreigner to hold the title in 20 years, and it's his first singles win in Mexico. In his first shot at the heavyweight champion.
Wait, this is his first singles win?
First singles title win, excuse me. First singles titles win, I'm sorry.
First singles titles win, okay.
First foreigner to hold the title in 20 years, and it's his first single title win in Mexico in any promotion, much less CMLL.
Yeah.
Also, his first shot at heavyweight title. He won an elimination match, beating Rush, Gran Guerrero, Peroth, Dragon Rojo, Rey Bucanero. A lot of guys were in this match. I saw a few clips of it. He did his awesome Air Corleone where he runs up the ramp and just flies in the air and people pop. I'm looking forward to when they put this match on either YouTube or on Claro Sports because I'm a Marco guy. He's charismatic as hell. He's super engaging. And he just seems like a good dude. And that goes a long way. So that's my match of the week. I haven't seen it, but it hasn't aired yet, so I think I'm allowed. But props to Marco Corleone. Thanks again, Don Sal, for giving me the good news on Tuesday night that Marco and his abs and his hip swivel are your new CMLL heavyweight champion.
A man probably more deserving of the title Maximo Sexy, but that's neither here nor there.
Ultimo Maximo Sexy.
All right. So now that we've done that, do we want to go with the bad first or do we go with the good first?
Just go. I'll follow your lead, Captain.
All right.
I'll be the first mate on the ship of this podcast. You go. All
right. Well, we're gonna start with the bad and end with the good tonight. And the bad is main roster WWE as per usual. It wasn't all bad. This week we had Extreme Rules, which was a mixed bag of various different things that happened. We had an episode of Raw that had some bright spots, but was overall kind of middling. But definitely an improvement over some of the previous material that Raw has given us since the Superstar shakeup. And then we had an episode of SmackDown that really pissed me off.
Ooh,
a lot. And I'm just gonna go right into it. I'm just gonna go right into it because my ire is still high because I watched the segments right before we went on the air, right before I linked you to the Hangout. My ire is high from this.
Get your dad all up. All right, let's go.
I need to do this now. So
you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and drink my water and listen. The floor is yours, brother Chris.
Yeah. So SmackDown Live started this week with the reveal of the women's Money in the Bank briefcase, which looks great, by the way. The white with the gold trim, simple, elegant, and very nice look. Love it a lot. Very, very, very good. And, the typical bit of all the women, calling their shots. Yeah, of course, we had to get a James Ellsworth speech in there, and he used the term mansplaining, which was dumb as shit, but whatever. It's typical, pseudo contract signing type segment, Money in the Bank preview segment, whatever you want to call it. It was working out great. Naomi, the champion, who has been relegated to complete irrelevance since WrestleMania, and also who does not have a single win in a match on TV since WrestleMania, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, she has not won a single match on TV since WrestleMania. But she still has the belt.
Taken like 3 pins in a month or something.
Four. She's taken 4 pins and not in a month, but since
champion look credible.
Since winning the belt, yeah, she's been pinned 4 times on TV. Yeah, really good job there, WWE. So Naomi comes out and does what any good champion will do, which is to say, this is great history making moment, but it doesn't matter who wins because I'm gonna beat you no matter who you are, no matter when you cash in, etc., etc. And then who should appear but WWE's resident weight-shaming piece of shit, none other than Miss CJ Perry herself, Lana, in a blue evening gown, doing her poor idea of a dance gimmick, which basically involved just shaking her hips and kicking her legs a little bit and shimmying down to the ring, looking absolutely ridiculous alongside these 6 other women who were all ready to compete because they had a 6-woman tag match that was going to happen right after this segment. They're all in their gear, ready to compete. Lana comes down in a fucking evening gown. And what's the first thing that happens when Shane McMahon tells her this is not the time or the place? She makes to him a veiled proposition of sexual favors in exchange for being placed in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I am not even kidding about this. A married man who is also her boss, and she's making veiled allusions to sexual favors in exchange for being put into the match. And this is amidst the crowd cheering. The crowd in Rochester, New York is cheering this. And then, on top of that, we get Lana telling Naomi, after Naomi tries to run her off, as rightly she should do, Lana making threats that she can beat Naomi in a match, and then stomping off like a spoiled child. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, fine. We got it over with. That's done. We can now move on to bigger and better things. And then the little voice in my head that always comes to me to remind me of the awful tells me, oh no, believe me, she's going to find a way back into this picture somehow. And I'm trying to say to myself, no, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. We're not going to get this. They're not doing this. But what should happen at the end of that 6-woman tag match? But Lana comes down to ringside and trips Naomi as she's on the ring apron, resulting in Naomi then eating a super kick from Tamina and getting pinned again. And Naomi takes the pin for her team and loses the match again. And I'm thinking, oh no, it can't possibly get any worse than this. And WWE Creative says, hold my beer, I got this. Because later in the episode, then Naomi goes to Shane in his office and says to him, I want a match against Lana at Money in the Bank. Shane says, that's really not a good idea. Tries to tell her, this is really not a good idea. And Naomi says, no, I'm even going to put my title on the line. And I proceed to start incomprehensibly cursing and screaming and losing my goddamn.
I thought I heard some noise from the east. That must have been you.
Oh, it was.
Can I jump in real quick?
Please.
What's the theme of our show? What's the motto of our show?
Don't work yourselves into a shoot.
You're being worked, brother Chris.
Well, Let me
I know. Look, here, let me ask you a question. This is my first of 2 questions on the show, because I have the same problem with gender.
Okay.
In the year of our Lord 2017, does it matter if you hate CJ Perry or if you hate Lana?
It really doesn't matter.
Just like, does it matter to me does it matter to me if I think Jinder Mahal the wrestler, or whatever the hell his shoot name is?
I don't even know.
Yuvraj Singh DC. Wow, I botched the shit out of that. Does it matter to me if I think Jinder Mahal the wrestler or Yuvraj Singh DC, who I hate more? Like, I want to see the guy's head get kicked in. I want to see his shoot head get kicked in. You want to see Lana's head get shoot kicked in.
Well, I would say that Jinder also actually has proven himself to be a pretty okay person outside of the ring.
You forget, I don't care about that. I cheer for Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's true.
So I honestly, I'm a bad guy. I don't care if
you
you're
are the
okay
heel on
or
this
not
show.
okay outside the ring. Like, I just care if you're entertaining inside the ring. Jinder's not. Like, for you, that's Lana. Does it matter if you hate Lana the character or CJ Perry the person? Like, at the end of the day, it's still heat, right? I mean, that's where we are a company, and that's where we are as a company. That's where we are as fans of this company right now.
But here's the thing,
which is aggravating as hell. I miss the old days.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Let me go into a point here that I brought up today in the daily, and it sparked quite a big discussion. But I'm gonna go into this a bit, which is that this is a blatant move by Vince McMahon to take the idea of the women's wrestling movement that has been in place for a while now. In my eyes, this is a blatant view by Vince at cutting that movement off at the knees, and he's really has timed this quite well, because we're at a point right now where the women's wrestling movement on main roster WWE has essentially fallen to shit, because all of the good workers have had their legs cut out from underneath them. The champion on Raw is Alexa Bliss, who admittedly is a great performer outside of the ring and is a average at best worker inside the ring. But she has a place, and I will admit 100%. She's deserving of her spot and has earned it. Whether or not she is, good in the ring, she has certainly earned her spot. But Lana has had one match that has been televised. One. And it was as part of a 10-woman tag match at WrestleMania 32 on the pre-show. A single match. And what happens the first moment she shows up on SmackDown Live, the first episode she shows up on SmackDown Live, she gets herself into a title. She gets a title match. Shane grants Naomi's request and grants her a title match. And the storyline, storyline implication of that is that Shane is willing to give into his babyface champions, even when he knows that their judgment is impaired and that they're not thinking clearly. And any good manager in any position of authority will tell you that you don't let people, you don't give in to people's demands when their emotions are high.
True.
That just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but it's wrestling though. Like, the real world doesn't apply. It's wrestling.
Yeah, but on top of that, also, I mean, the idea that this needs to happen, that Lana needs to have a title match in order to like start her run in the division, is absolutely ludicrous. It could have very easily been held off for 2 weeks until after Money in the Bank. They could have very easily waited until after Money in the Bank to debut her, and then inserted herself into this. The idea that now Naomi's championship is in jeopardy at the same night as Money in the Bank just opens up the door to the idea that, oh, okay, well, if Naomi wins, then Lana will end up pinning whoever cashes in on her, and if Naomi loses, then she'll get cashed in on and lose her belt. Because it's very clear that Lana is someone that Vince wants to make happen. Lana isn't going to be the female Roman Reigns. Vince wants to make Lana happen because she has sex appeal. That's what it is. And that's all she is. That was the idea of her character from the moment that these vignettes started on SmackDown Live. It's all about sex appeal. And the whole idea of the women's wrestling revolution was supposed to be that we're trying to focus on performers being overall great performers and not having their sex appeal be the primary focus. Yeah, of course, they're going to be attractive women. Almost every woman that's signed to WWE is attractive in some way, shape, or form. But That was not supposed to be the primary focus. The primary focus is supposed to be their work. Lana, we've seen from the reports from the Florida house show loop from NXT, is not a good worker. She is really not that great of a talker unless she's managing Rusev. And she's a terrible baby face, as we saw.
Accent?
What?
The accent.
Yeah. I don't know why they're sticking with that either.
And I'm like, I thought they dropped the entire Russian gimmick, and she's just a karaoke dancer or a cabaret dancer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand. I guess they're trying to maintain some semblance of character continuity, but I mean, word was always that they were going to have her eventually drop the accent. But even still, just the whole thing just really raises my hackles, because I taking in the complete picture, as Adam Rice brought up, if not for the fact that 48 hours beforehand Bayley had not been taken behind the woodshed and shot by WWE Creative, I would have less of a problem with this. But I mean, let's look at Raw, where right now the main event scene is Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, Mickie James, and Dana Brooke. And
Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax going to be.
Yeah, and on SmackDown we have Lana getting a title shot.
Yeah,
it really hurts my head.
Problems. We got problems, brother Chris.
Yeah, major problems.
Yeah, big trouble, as our boy Fred Yehai would say.
Oh yeah, they're in big trouble.
Big trouble, and it's their own damn fault.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, I mean, Vince doing this at the time that he did, like I said, was genius, because of the fact that he's used all this time to cut out, to cut the good workers of the divisions off at the knees. I mean, with the exception of Charlotte, because Charlotte still fits his idea for what he wants his champions to look like. She's got that traditional female attractive aspect going to her, which is to say tall and blonde. But whatever. But Bayley, creatively dead. Becky has been punked out more times than we can even count. Sasha is for some reason in the cruiserweight division, and there still is no sign of any of the good workers from NXT coming up to the main roster anytime soon.
Our boy Don Sal's right. Somehow Mickie is the best in-ring worker in that Raw Women's title picture.
Yeah. Mickie James, who is how old? 36? 37?
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this. I will give credit. Mickie James, who's 37. I like the pairing of Mickie James with Dana Brooke, because I think that Mickie can give Dana some very good pointers on her character work and can help her develop a little bit more as a performer. That's a good pairing there. But that's not a good look for the Raw Women's division.
No, the whole women. It's what the problem with this show is, and I know what the problem with this company is.
Yeah.
Okay, I did the math today on the train. In the last 3 weeks, the WWE has held 3 special events.
Okay.
One Raw, one SmackDown, one NXT. Okay. Ignoring the pre-show, there have been 18 matches. Okay. Guess how many the baby faces have won of those 18 matches? NXT, SmackDown, Raw, pay-per-views, or special events, whatever the hell they call them these days. 18 total matches. Guess how many the baby faces won?
I'm going to say 3.
5.
Okay.
The baby faces are 5-13 in those matches on the main card.
Yeah.
That is just a snapshot of why this company is in the shape it is in. Do you know why, brother Chris? Because nobody gives a shit about losers.
Mm-hmm.
That's why nobody buys tickets to see the Jets play football. This company has no idea how to book baby faces. Like the Aries and Neville match, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Good match with shit rules. And I know Vince McMahon is sitting there thinking, God damn, Aries made a tap out on the outside and then lost in the middle of the ring. These fans are going to want to see him win it even more next time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what, assfuck? That's not how I feel. I don't give a shit, because Austin Aries is a loser that keeps losing.
He's lost 3.
I want my baby faces to win.
Yeah. Eventually,
it's not a hard concept.
Eventually, the babyface needs to get their payoff.
Why Conor McGregor fights? Yeah. Not because he tries really hard and comes up short, because he fucking wins more than he loses.
Yeah.
And people love him for that.
Why do you think that everybody cheered Alexa Bliss?
Why do they make it that hard? Every babyface looks like a goddamn moron in this company.
Yeah.
I don't mean to jump. We're going to start. You know what? Screw it. We're going to start with Extreme Rules.
Yeah,
Let's talk about Dean Ambrose.
Oh, my God.
A minute in, he was going to use that chair until the referee intervened, which tells me he's either too stupid or too careless to care about his championship. Well, guess what? If he's too stupid or too careless to care about his championship, why should I care that he has his championship?
Yeah.
Like, there's more. Bailey. But,
oh, my God.
We'll get to Bailey. Let's talk. You got any words on Dean Ambrose, Miz?
I mean, everybody knows that I hate the Miz, but I mean, I thought it was a pretty good. I thought it was, for a little bit there, it seemed like it was going places, but the continual moments of Dean Ambrose looking like he was going to get disqualified and not giving a shit, like, come on, Dean.
I like how the Miz started trying to get disqualified.
This whole fucking the lunatic fringe gimmick needs to go away. Bottom line.
Forget the gimmick for a second. I like how the match started with 3 minutes of the Miz trying to get Dean disqualified, then 15 minutes of real wrestling, and then a minute at the end of the Miz trying to get him disqualified.
Yeah. Also, which then didn't even end up mattering because then he wound up pinning Dean without a disqualification.
Clean. Well, sort of clean
pin.
You know what? You want to get the heat on the Miz? Have him get Dean disqualified. The stipulation's right there. Yeah. But don't have Dean Ambrose get distracted for 45 seconds, then eat a pin.
Yeah.
A long pin, because the referee was on the outside, remember? He had to run back on the inside. It was almost a 4 count. You know what? That makes Dean Ambrose look like a goddamn idiot. That makes me not care at all about Dean Ambrose.
Yeah. Why do you think people cheer the Miz?
Like, why? How about the fact that in a 20-minute match, the referee trusted Dean Ambrose for 19 minutes and 30 seconds until he didn't?
Yeah.
Like, by the way, if I told you a year ago that Bailey would get booed cutting a promo,
oh my God,
you'd say, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Not even these guys can fuck this up. Well,
I did say that. When she first got promoted to the main roster. Everybody was like, "Oh God, they're going to ruin Bailey," and I was one of the ones who was saying, "There's no way that they can fuck this up. There's no way they can fuck this up."
On this show, and every babyface in this company, with the possible exception of Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, and Roman Reigns, is booked like a goddamn idiot.
Now even Nakamura's booking is making him look like a fucking geek too.
I mean, not a geek, of course. Everyone's getting 50-50 to hell.
Yeah.
I mean, we discussed AJ going even Steven with Dolph Ziggler because they happen to go to Atlanta. Which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You have the best wrestler in the world, and he's jobbing the Dolph Ziggler because you're too stuck in your ways to have a guy win a match in his hometown.
Yeah.
And then you give me the middle finger by having Rich Swann, all due respect, win in Baltimore. The only buddy I want to see win in Baltimore is Avon Barksdale.
I mean,
all right, I'm fired up. Goddammit! All right, let's go through the show.
Well, wait. Like I got to say, Adam Rice brings up a great point in the thread, and this is so true. That ever since the days of it being the WWF, traditional babyface territory, and they fucking lost their ability to book babyfaces properly. Why?
I blame Triple H.
No, I blame Vince McMahon hating himself. Triple H
and the fucking reign of terror in 2002, 3, and 4 with Evolution. That's when it started.
Oh, because they had to make the heels look cool.
Yes.
Because it was cool to be the bad guy. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Nobody watched the show. Notice how ratings fell off a fucking cliff after invasion.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody who complains about, oh my God, Lol Cena wins, that was the worst thing ever for the company. Yeah, tell that to the millions of people who tuned back in after the Reign of Terror to see Lol Cena wins for 6 years because they enjoyed the shit out of that. A hero, a consistent hero character who played
one of the
hero.
4 best draws of my lifetime.
Yeah,
Hogan, Rock, Austin, Cena draws of getting people in the building, which last time I checked, the point of this whole endeavor is getting people to spend money to watch wrestling, not whatever that, not putting on fake fights. That's the point.
Yeah.
Money.
The idea is not to make your audience look like idiots. Don't make your audience look like idiots.
Feel like idiots.
Yeah, and don't make your audience feel like idiots for spending their money on this, because that's how you get them to stop.
I don't get this. What's the next match? Do we care about Bayley and we care about Bayley and Bayley. We care about Bayley. Do we care about the Rich Swann, Sasha Banks, Alicia Fox, and Noam Dar? Besides, Noam Dar is shit.
Noam Dar is shit. I mean, he's lost it. I
don't watch Progress. I know I should. I know I'm very bad in Progress. He must have left all his fucking talent in the UK because he's shit. He does nothing well.
This was as I predicted, this was a repeat of the women's 6-man tag from Backlash, the 6-woman tag from Backlash, where a team of clearly superiorly talented faces spent only 6 minutes, but still, that's 6 minutes too long, looking like idiots working underneath a pair of inferior heels, just because the heels have to look good. Until we got our hot tag and Sasha took out Alicia, and then we had Rich win by pinning Noam Dar. Thank God that he let Rich and Sasha win. And I guarantee you the only reason he let them win is because of the fact that Sasha was the only performer of those 4 who is over with a majority of the crowd.
By the way, speaking of, did you see how loud the people cheered when their boy Rich Swann won?
Yeah.
Complicated.
It's not.
Let faces win in their hometown every now and again.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I went on the rant about why you should have title changes at house shows?
Yes.
Because that way it conditions people to expect a title change at a house show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, Tanya Rogers, who does a podcast on this show and friend of the program at CageSideSeats.com, your one-stop shop for wrestling news and banter, is going to a house show tomorrow night to see Roman Reigns and the other Raw superstars. At this house show, the Raw tag team titles will be defended. I'm willing to bet all the money in my pocket against all the money in your pocket that the Raw tag team titles will not be changed at the house show.
I would never bet that it would. I would bet every dollar that I make in my paycheck next week that every title that is defended on a house show for the next year will not change hands.
But which everyone going to the house show knows this, right? So it kills some of the suspension of disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. However, if every now and again, once every 3 months, you have a title change at a house show, not a major one, an Intercontinental here, a tag team there, a women's there, all of a sudden people get in the back of their heads,
maybe this will
happen. And then they start to expect it, you know?
Yep.
That's the same way I feel with the hometown thing.
Yeah. Even Luke Harper even talked about it in an interview that he had with a local news outlet in Rochester, his hometown. Oh, and by the way, the Luke Harper and Aiden English thing that was supposed to happen in Rochester in Luke's hometown didn't even fucking happen. So what was the point of building up on that on their social media accounts? It was like people were genuinely excited because that seemed like a new and interesting thing for 2 guys who need new angles with creative, and it actually looked like they were going to be doing big things. People love Luke Harper. People love to cheer for Luke Harper. But nope, not doing anything with him because we need to give time for Lana to fucking interject herself into the women's title scene. God. I would like to actually go back, though.
Okay, by all means. I'm kind of on tilt here, so
yeah.
By all means.
I want to actually go back to the pre-show, though, because that match
that was a good match.
Kalisto and Apollo Crews had a great match.
That was
awesome.
That may have been the second best match in the show.
It easily was.
I would easily say it was the second best match in the show.
Yeah, that was a fantastically fun match. I enjoyed the shit out of that.
I thoroughly enjoyed that match. I would recommend that match again if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, as much as I am not really in there for Apollo Crews buying in with Titus O'Neil like he is, I still am quite okay with a Kalisto and Apollo Crews going out there and having really fun flip fights. And the Salida del Sol off Titus O'Neil's face, I think, needs to be a thing that happens at least once a month because that was a shitload of fun.
Yeah,
great match.
It was. I mean, those two work well together.
Great 9-minute, 40-second sprint for two guys who have a great history together from Dragon Gate USA. I mean, and we saw the YouTube segment before Raw where Apollo was talking to Akira Tozawa, another Dragon Gate USA alum, who also, again, I mean, actually Apollo and Akira Tozawa are best friends outside of the company. And
doesn't he live with them or something?
Yeah, Apollo and Akira Tozawa are roommates with Ricochet and Tessa Blanchard down in Florida.
That's a hell of a foursome. It's like a bad sitcom right there.
Yeah, I know. I want to see some of the things in that house.
It's the Big Brother cameras in that house.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean they're all friends from Dragon Gate. I mean, all three of them. I mean, I would buy in immediately for an Apollo Crews, Kalisto, Akira Tozawa triple threat. I would buy in. I've
been calling for Raw trio titles for a long time.
Yeah, put them together.
I think you should have regular tag team titles on one show and trio titles on the other.
Yeah,
differentiate.
I mean, hell, if you have to get Titus involved and somehow have them be the manager, like Sal was saying, managing the Dragon Brothers, all three of them. Yeah, but I mean, I
like this Titus as manager gimmick. Yeah. I think it's good for him.
Yeah, it works.
He's a terrible professional wrestler, but he's a good promo and he's got a presence.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even need to continue to be a heel thing. I mean, Titus, as we all know, is a very generous, good-hearted person outside of the ring. Does a lot of community service work, a lot of work with homeless people and just bringing the community together. Great guy. If you follow his Instagram profile, you see he does all sorts of work outside with the community. And I think that bringing that back to where he was when they had the brief reunion of the primetime players, having him run face and manage a face team like that, I could easily see that working.
I'm in.
It would be good.
I'm in. You need programs on the lower card to get people invested.
Yeah.
And why not?
I mean, they didn't include one program from the lower card that should have been on this show, which was the Goldust R-Truth thing. So, I mean, that's working.
But we had to have a 20-minute tag match that made no sense, and we had to have a submission match that made no sense because this entire show made no sense.
Yeah.
All right, you want to talk about Bayley?
The burial of Bayley, and this is one place where it actually applies.
Yeah, I mean, this was just. Now
I get the idea that you want Bayley to be an altruistic character. I understand that. That makes sense. That fits with the profile that she displayed in NXT. But there's a big difference.
She was vicious in NXT.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Sasha in the head during a submission attempt to win a match.
And that's the thing. There's a big difference between being altruistic and being a fucking dumbass. And they've made Bayley look like a fucking dumbass in this. I mean, to have her pick up the kendo stick and to hesitate after a month of abuse. And this actually fits the clinical term of abuse. Clinical abuse at the hands of Alexa Bliss. Verbal, physical, and emotional. After a month of that, to have her hesitate to hit Alexa with the kendo stick and then to not be and to then have it turned against her and lose the match because of it, that makes Bayley look like a completely fucking uncredible performer and just generally cuts out any sense of her ever being able to credibly hold the title again. Forever.
Yeah. Why? So my question to you about Bayley is this, and this is my overarching question for the show.
Yeah. Not the existential question.
I think Bayley has been exposed on the main roster. I think that's fair to say. Correct?
Yes. Absolutely.
I think because she was protected in NXT. She didn't cut long-ass promos. She showed up, she wrestled, she kicked ass, she left. Everyone was happy.
Yeah.
Right? So my question to you is this. Raw and SmackDown are not changing the way they present professional wrestling and as long as Vince McMahon is still alive. Right? You're going to have long promos. You're going to have heels winning. You're going to have all the tropes that we know and hate about WWE.
Yep.
Since those are not changing anytime soon, should Hunter and NXT be preparing his talent for those long promos and other tropes instead of sabotaging them by hiding their weaknesses and presenting a good professional wrestling program?
No, so this is the existential question.
Basically, is it better for the talent if NXT is worse or at least closer to Raw to put the talent in the best position to succeed once they make it in the main roster? Is it better for them to make NXT worse, to make their talent more ready for how professional wrestling works on the main roster?
I mean,
and overarching question for that:
mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of NXT? I honestly don't know.
I mean,
what's NXT's gimmick?
I can tell you what it used to be. I don't know anymore.
Just tell me what it used to be.
I mean, it used to be purely a developmental program designed to prepare wrestlers who were not ready for the main roster of WWE, who were not ready to perform in front of those large style crowds.
But it's never been large. It's always been a Full Sail where they have 300 people, and it's always the smarkiest of the smarks who get those seats.
Yeah, but
we rail on them all the time. There's a huge world of difference between performing in front of 400 neckbeards than performing in front of 15,000 regular WWE fans.
Right. I think it's less about the environment of the crowd, more so the idea of being able to play to a crowd and also play to television cameras.
I understand that. But when's the last time NXT opened up with a 15-minute in-ring promo? Almost never.
Yeah, right? I mean, I don't think it's ever happened.
Whereas it happens, 9 out of 10 Raws?
Yeah.
9 out of 10 SmackDowns?
Yeah.
Like, is the point of NXT to make money? Because they don't make money, really. Is the point of NXT to pop network subscriptions? Like, is the point of NXT to develop talent? Because who's the most successful non-indie graduate of the Performance Center? Is Braun Strowman, right? Yeah. Who's almost never on NXT. He went from the Performance Center to the main roster.
Yeah, he did the house show loop for a bit, and then that was it.
Yeah, but was he ever on NXT television?
No.
Like, whereas Bayley, the linchpin of NXT for a year, can't cut a promo to save her life.
Yeah.
Like, some of it's on her, don't get me wrong. But a lot of it is on the fact that she was never conditioned to do so. Like, for example, you watch football, right?
Yeah.
You don't train someone as an offensive lineman and then send them out to run and catch passes and expect them to catch passes because they were not conditioned to do so. They were conditioned to be an offensive lineman.
But then we have, as Caitlin A12 brought up in the thread, we have the curious case of someone like Elias Sampson, who never worked in NXT, but is now up on the main roster and is doing just fine for himself.
By the way, him taking the 2003 Rock's gimmick of cutting promos while playing a guitar is buys. But you're right, though. So, so then NXT has either underperformed in some cases or overperformed in others. You look at Ty Dillinger, who was in NXT for, a decade? And he's basically a opening match guy.
Yeah. I mean, right? the only name you could say at this point who came from NXT and is a genuine success story on the main roster is Charlotte, and I would wager to say that has less to do with her success in NXT and more to do with her name, which is not to take anything away from her as a performer, because she is certainly an excellent performer. She's good at what she does, but I would dare say that she was slotted for that position regardless of how she did in NXT, because Vince loves legacy.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head of WWE guys or ladies who are non-indies on the main roster, who are Alexa, right?
Yeah.
Alexa, successful, very successful. Charlotte, Braun. Let me think.
They're the only ones.
Like, there's not a lot. I'm kind of grasping at Titus, right?
They're the only ones who are successes. There are plenty of people who are not successes, like Dana Brooke, that fit that mold.
Nia.
Carmella.
NXT is. If you told me that the whole reason NXT existed was to give Triple H a dry run so that he could take over promotion when Vince McMahon shuffles off his mortal coil, I would say that makes sense. To me, that's the one thing. NXT is preparing one guy for the main roster, and it's Triple H.
Yeah.
It's not doing a great job preparing anyone else for the main roster, because the way NXT presents wrestling is fundamentally different than the way Raw presents wrestling.
And that I think is also the thing that is going to be evident when Vince does pass on and Hunter takes over, which is that we're gonna see that the presentation is going to change, because I think that just to call it this is going to really devalue NXT, and I mean, it's going to seem like I'm devaluing NXT, and I'm really not meaning to.
NXT is the best show on WWE television. Let's be fair.
Yes, but NXT at this point now, with the success that it is, NXT is now officially the Paul Levesque vanity project. That is what this is. And when he takes over the main roster, that's what the main roster is going to become, because he has his vision. He sees that his vision is successful with a large segment of fans, and he enjoys feeling like he has created something that the fans like and enjoy, and that is going to be successful. And so that's going to continue. Is that a good thing? I mean, overall, yes, it's a good thing, because at this point, anything is better than the main. Anything other than what the main roster is now will be better for the main roster in the long run. But I mean,
let's say Vince does this another 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You want to watch 5 more years of this, of square pegs and round holes?
Well, this comes back to
talent not being utilized to their potential.
Well, this is
openly saying, I wish they were still on NXT."
Yeah, this is actually brings me to something that I, when I was in the comment thread for Wednesday Night Shooting last night, that I mentioned, which I mean, I would love to hear your thoughts about this.
Please.
Too. My theory, and this is a theory that was presented to me after WrestleMania 31, when people were already, well, actually, it was in the lead up to WrestleMania 31 when people were lamenting the idea of Roman Reigns as champion, beating Brock Lesnar, et cetera, and how nothing about WrestleMania 31 looked attractive to them, and they were convinced it was going to be a terrible show. And a friend of mine brought up the idea to me that Vince is purposefully booking the company into the ground so that when he dies, there won't be anything left and nobody can ever best his legacy. At the time, I laughed that off. But more and more to me, as I watch the slow degeneration of the main roster into something that's completely unwatchable, I'm beginning to think that maybe that's true. Maybe he just doesn't want his own daughter and his son-in-law to take over the company and to create a legacy that's better than his, because he's that narcissistic. And this effort to sign all this indie talent to his company and then have his company fall into the sea is his way of torching all the other indie promoters and saying, ha ha ha, fuck you, I'm taking all your talent, and then none of you are ever going to be able to take what I did, and my empire is going to die with me. I mean, do you think that that's something that is reasonable?
No, I think that's a little too House of Cardsy. I think it's more that Vince has been doing this for 35 years, is burned out, and is out of ideas, and doesn't know any better. Oh, and is 73 or whatever the hell he is.
But I mean, you'd think that, I mean, WWE, I
is surrounded by ass kissers and yes men. CM Punk represent Sky Point. Even though you're not dead, you might as well be dead.
I still have to think, though. I mean, WWE has a board of directors. They're a publicly traded company.
But all those guys care about is making money.
Yeah, but they're not making money. They're losing money.
They're still making enough money, though. I mean, they're still hitting dividends. They're still hitting their network goals and all that stuff. I mean, sure, it's all smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And sure, ratings are cratering. And sure, it may be a come to Jesus moment when the TV rights deal comes up in 2 years.
Yeah.
But that's 2 years from now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's more that Vince is inept rather than Vince is nefarious.
I mean,
I am team inept before I am team nefarious, but that's just me.
I mean, yeah. There is also the whole thing about how all the backstage reports are saying that creative has nothing in the slow, because it's a slow period, and that they'll pick it back up leading up to SummerSlam. As Matt,
you trust these guys to pick that up?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Matt DSM, you brought that up in the thread, and yeah, that may be valid, but I mean, are they going to be able to pick it back up in a good way? Are they going to be able to come up with good stories? Because yeah, I mean, SmackDown last year, they had great stories. They had a great show going, and they could do no wrong. But right now, SmackDown is in the toilet, and is actually at some points even worse than Raw. I mean, are we really going to have the confidence that they're going to be able to pick it back up again now that they've established themselves and have kind of given the the baseline of what their numbers are going to be week to week, because the numbers aren't fluctuating all that much.
No, they're in a range. But Mike, I lost my train of thought. Go on. I'm sorry. I'll try to remember what I was going to say. Go on.
Yeah. I mean, there really isn't much else to cover in that. I mean, it's a tough question. To go back to the original question of, should NXT lower its standards and lower its performances in order to better prepare the performers for the main roster? My gut instinct to say to that is to say no, because for one thing, I'm sure that these performers are watching the main roster and are mentally preparing themselves for that. Because I mean, I don't expect these people to be pie in the sky dreamers imagining themselves to be the next Steve Austin or the next Rock, who think that they're going to totally revolutionize the business. I'm sure these people are aware of their limitations and are sure of what their roles are going to be when they do hit the main roster. I mean, sure, it's nice to have dreams, but you got to be. I mean, in this day and age, you got to be realistic. That performers like Austin, Rock, and Cena are once in a lifetime talents, once in a generation talents. Those guys, they're not a dime a dozen good.
No, I understand.
And I believe that while these people are going to try their hardest to be that level of performer, I'm sure that most of them know that they won't be able to get there without being extremely lucky and having an extremely good confluence of events. And hell, I mean, Steve Austin, if not for the moment of the click and Hunter getting buried by creative, we never would have had Stone Cold Steve Austin as the main event headliner that we got. We never would have had Austin 316. That's an example of the luck you need to have to get.
Yeah. You have to
get to that point.
Absolutely.
So I don't think those people expect themselves to be at that level. I'm sure that they are aware that when they get to the main roster, it's going to be a different environment. And in some ways, it's going to be a less positive environment than what they get in NXT. What I will say is that lowering the standards of NXT will probably make it less likely for performers from the indies to want to sign there. It will probably lower the numbers of people trying out at the Performance Center to try and get in, because I'm sure these people are watching NXT and they see that at the very least NXT is capable of being great, and I'm sure that they want to be able to at least do that much, when they're as a part of WWE, because NXT is a unique opportunity to be in a great promotion and to get yourself in front of a lot more eyeballs than you would in almost anywhere else. I mean, the only comparable place to go is New Japan, in terms of number of eyeballs you get yourself in front of. And I mean, for a lot of these people to uproot their whole lives and to go to Japan is outside the realm of possibility. So NXT is probably is the next best option. So.
Yeah, and especially to get exposure, and especially to get a lottery ticket, which is basically what it is at this point.
Yeah. So let's go back to Extreme Rules.
Sure. Speaking of idiot baby faces made to look like morons.
The Hardy Boys.
Jeff Hardy.
Oh my God.
Jeff Hardy. It's a whisper in the wind from the top of the cage.
And this
whisper in the wind from the top of the cage, and takes longer to recover than the two guys he hit. The move on.
And this is also the reason for the title of our show, Extreme Obfuscation of the Rules, because
no one knew what the hell was going on with this show.
There wasn't until the introduction to the match when Michael Cole stated that the only way to win was by escape of the cage, and that there was no pinfalls or submissions, and both partners had to escape the cage. Nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Otherwise,
nobody knew what was going on. They have to escape at the same time. They have to escape at all. And
also
knew anything.
I hate to have to go back to the women's match, but the same thing happened in the women's match, where the commentary spent the month leading up to this event and hyping up the fact that the first woman to grab the kendo stick would legally be able to use it, and then Bayley grabs the kendo stick first, and Alexa Bliss is the one that uses it and doesn't get disqualified. So yeah, let's just make it up as we go along. That's my new tagline for Extreme Rules: make it up as you go.
Yep, we don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know anything.
I mean, the match was okay, aside from Jeff Hardy's stupidity at the end.
I couldn't get into it, though, because they kept babbling on about the stipulations.
Yeah.
They kept taking me out of the match.
And this is one case where, you know, better commentary is definitely needed, because commentary has the ability to enhance the match or to detract from it. And this was a definite case of commentary detracting from the match.
It was terrible. It was all night
Full
terrible.
cloth.
They were stumbling over themselves, cutting each other off, not being able to explain the rules.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, and I'm gonna bring up a point I brought up on Monday while Raw was on. I think JBL has reprogrammed Michael Cole's voice box or something, because the number of times that Michael Cole has said booger instead of booker recently is really starting to get to me.
Well, he's from Texas too. Well, he's from Syracuse, but he went to Texas, I think. Or something like that.
Come on, Cole. Pronounce things properly, please. I know you're capable of it. Stop it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the tag match was fine. I just couldn't get into it because they kept babbling on about the stipulations.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's something that happens.
Once Jeff Hardy left the match and he jumped back in the match, was he legal? Did he have to leave the match again? Or could Matt have just left the match? Like,
yeah. Nobody freaking knew.
Nobody knew.
I mean, that's something that is a problem with this event inherently, which is that commentary constantly goes on. It's like, oh, this is legal in this match. Is like, that's one of the things I hate about JBL. Anytime there's a match that has a stipulation where he's like, it's all legal, Maggle, it's all legal, Tom, you know, whatever it is. It's like, okay, we fucking get it. Move on, please.
Yeah, go away now.
But I mean, yeah, commentary definitely brought the match down. But I mean, credit to Sheamus and Cesaro for, you know, pulling what was sure to be a dumpster fire of a match to the level of just being passable.
And credit to Sheamus and Cesaro for catching Jeff Hardy clean on that whisper in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
They basically caught him and lowered him to the ground safely.
Yeah.
Props to those two guys.
And also good job of Matt Hardy for selling that super white noise.
Yeah.
I like one of my buddies likes to call that move super racist noise, but but yeah, props to Matt for selling that thing like death, and then having to be dragged out of the ring for it. Yeah, I mean, and also we wish the best to the Hardys on the impending birth of Matt and Rebby's second child.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. Good for them.
Hope to see you back on TV soon, and hopefully when you come back, you will be broken, but who knows?
Or fractured.
Yeah, or fractured.
Submission match.
Didn't care.
Do you remember when I talked about my favorite match in the history of wrestling?
Yes.
Which was the Bret Hart Steve Austin submission match. Have you watched that match yet, brother Chris?
Oh God, I still haven't watched it.
Yeah, there's a spot in that match where Steve Austin is choking Bret Hart out with a microphone cable.
I've heard about this spot.
And Bret Hart grabs the ring bell in an attempt to get this angry Texan off him and hits him smack in the head with it. Thank Christ that wouldn't have been a disqualification. Because that would have ruined the greatest match of all time. Why was there DQ? Why was there submission? Why were there countouts? Why were there anything in this match? Okay, let's pretend this is a shoot fight for a second, okay? You're in a fight, and you are in a submission maneuver, and the only way you can escape this submission maneuver is to tap out and end the fight, right?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck if it's on the outside?
Yeah, like
these baby faces are all booked to be damned fools.
Yeah, I don't understand why Austin Aries put the last chance in on the outside of the ring. Like, I mean, I understand the whole idea of you have to weaken Neville, you know, in order to set him up for the win, but I mean, come on. Submission matches on the outside in general are just as dumb as submission moves during an over-the-top battle royal, because then you have dead weight to lift that you have to get back into the ring, or in the case of a battle royal, over the top rope. Dead weight is not an easy thing to lift.
Yeah.
Even when it's
I like
submission
matches. I like submission maneuvers in Last Man Standing, though. I remember there was a Ric Flair Triple H Last Man Standing from 2005, and Ric Flair hit the figure four and kept it on for a long ass time, so because Triple H wouldn't be able to use his legs to get up.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That tells a good story. I am a fan of that. I'm not a fan of this shit.
Yeah, this was dumb as shit. And again, this is another case of, you know, Austin Aries now looks like an idiot, and you know, inevitably somehow this program is going to continue, even with the whole Neville TJP thing happening. Inevitably, somehow Austin Aries is going to get back into the title scene because I mean he's too big of a name to not be. And this program is going to continue, and it's just going to be, oh god, here we go again. Will he get there? Probably not. But we're going to try it anyway since we don't
care because this feud is so stale.
And the cruiserweight division in general is so stale that we've run that one into the ground enough.
Main event?
Yeah, main event.
You know what? Before we go any further, you and I and others have ripped this performer to bits, and I want to state for the record, he fucking brought it. Seth Rollins, you had yourself a hell of a match.
Yeah.
And God knows I've been hard on you, and God knows my good friend Christopher has been hard on you.
Yeah.
Fucking great in this match. And I wanted to just state for the record that you were damn good. This is my favorite match Seth was in since that three-way with Brock and Cena at the Royal Rumble in 2015.
Yeah.
Say that. Not that there's a lot of high bars, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know? Not that there's a lot of competition, but you know what?
But
We get a lot of shit.
There's been a lot of low bars.
I wanted to give you praise. Seth Rollins, you were the man. He was my favorite wrestler in this match.
There's been a lot of low bars for Seth Rollins, and to see him to get back to having a high bar was nice.
Yes, it was. It was, and I've mentioned this before. Seth Rollins, Tanahashi move stealer, my favorite gimmick in wrestling. He's breaking out sling blades. He's breaking out high fly flows. I think I saw a dragon screw somewhere in there. I love it.
There were a couple of dragon screws.
Seth Rollins as Tanahashi move stealer is the best.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Great. Seth Rollins, you know what? All five of these guys were damn. This match was fun.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the baton from Tanya from Wednesday Night Shooting last night and say Roman Reigns was on another level over this whole match. Right from the start. The fucking start of the match when Seth and Joe and then Bray and Finn went to the outside and were brawling, and Roman's just standing there in the ring like, yeah, fuck you guys. I'll wait for you to come to me and then I'll just fucking clock you right in the face. Fantastic. And then, you know, the spear, the Goldberg spear through the barricade on two guys, fucking wrecking two guys with a Goldberg style.
How about Joe cutting off the drive-by at the pass?
Yeah.
Just mauling Roman Reigns midair.
Yeah. And him selling that like death again.
Yeah.
Roman was great this match.
And then coming back as the Angel of Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
Ruled. I would highly recommend this match.
Yeah, this was a fantastic match. I mean, and you know, for all the people,
I think I went 4.25, maybe 4.5. This match kicked ass.
Yeah, absolutely. And for all the people who were complaining that Finn Balor took the pin instead of anybody else, let's give some thought here. Okay, so who's in the ring when Joe came running in? It was Finn Balor and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns just pinned The Undertaker at WrestleMania, so he's not taking a pin. Finn Balor's not.
I was okay with this.
Yeah, there were a lot of people who weren't, but I'm just squashing this right now. Samoa Joe's not dragging Seth Rollins or Bray Wyatt's dead asses back into the ring to pin one of them. He's pinning the opportunistic guy, and the opportune guy in that moment was the 190-pound Irishman who was on the fucking ground already and could easily be put into the coquina clutch.
Yeah.
So what the fuck do you expect him to do? Yeah, Finn is not exactly in the best position right now for taking a pin, but is a multi-man. It's a multi-man match. He'll bounce back from it quick enough, and he'll be in a good program. I mean, my hope is that we end up with Finn Balor, Roman Reigns at Great Balls of Fire.
Yeah,
that would be fantastic.
How about Roman Reigns doing the one-arm power bomb with ease? Because Finn Balor weighs like 160 pounds.
That is beautiful. I love
that was so pretty.
Yeah,
I was cool with this.
Yeah,
I would argue that Joe, Seth, Finn, and Roman all looked better, and Bray Wyatt looked the same.
Yeah.
This was a successful match.
Yes.
If you wanted to tell me that all five of these guys looked better coming out of this match than they did coming into this match, I wouldn't argue with you.
Yeah. And correction.
Maybe in the case of Bray Wyatt.
Finn didn't take a pin. He got submitted, but same difference.
Took
the loss.
Do you want to talk about the best segment in WWE television in months?
Oh my God, I do.
Let me tell you, my dad, who is a hero of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I had the dentist Monday night. Right, I'm leaving the dentist. I'm heading to the train, and my dad. Oh, you know what? Let me get my phone. I'm gonna read these texts verbatim from my dad Monday at the end of this.
Father of Curtain Jerker text.
Father of Curtain Jerker. Guy's been watching wrestling since the late 1970s.
Loves Arn Anderson. Loves Tetsuya Naito.
Loves Tetsuya Naito. Loves New Japan.
Yeah.
Okay. At 8:10 my time, so 9:10 Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Joe's the best! Exclamation point. Me leaving the dentist. What happened? Father of Curtain Jerker. Joe and Heyman in the ring. Mike versus Mike ended with Joe telling Paul to tell Brock what it feels like to be choked, and he put Paul out. He had the fans begging for Brock to make the save. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Me. I love Joe. Me. So Brock is playing the face. Dad. Joe made sure that he's such a pro. How great is face Brock versus heel Joe? My dad's awesome. He's 100% right. Brock Lesnar as the righteous angel of destruction is great.
It's going to be fantastic when he shows up next week.
As the dastardly son of a bitch who can talk a big game and back it up is great.
Yeah. I mean,
I am excited for this program.
The idea of getting a crowd to want somebody to come in and save Paul Heyman is something that I never would have thought possible.
Brock Lesnar saving Paul Heyman.
Yeah. That's something you would not think to be possible in any universe. This is dating back to, what year was it when we had the segment of Paul being stuck in Chris Benoit's submission and Cena talking shit to him on the mic and then making him eat a bar of soap? What year was that? Yeah.
04?
Yeah.
05. People it was after the Benoit title run, so 05.
Yeah, people have not liked Paul Heyman dating back to that. So 12 years now.
Yeah.
12, 13 years. And they were cheering for somebody to come and save Paul Heyman. Brock Lesnar, of all people, to come and save Paul Heyman.
Brock Lesnar, the guy you last saw on television destroying Bill Goldberg.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what they were cheering for.
That takes a special brand of performer.
When Naomi loses, Brock Lesnar is the closest thing to a babyface champion in the company.
Yeah.
In the entire company.
Exactly.
We have one babyface champion in WWE and Naomi.
Yeah.
And we have two forces of nature in Brock and Asuka. Stone Cold Steve Asuka.
Yeah, and Asuka's quickly becoming more of a heel than a tweener in this case. So. And
then we have everyone else as a heel in some form or fashion. Yeah. So when Naomi loses, and I'm just telling you that to get your mind ready for it, Brother Chris.
I'm already ready.
Is the face of the company.
I'm expecting that in how many days is it until Money in the Bank? 12 days? Yeah. 11 days? Or something like that?
Next Saturday. Or next Sunday, excuse me.
Yeah, next Sunday. Not 4 days from now, but the following Sunday. So 11 days from now, yeah. It's going to be full heel, go to WWE's page with the lists all the champions, full heel / force of nature rundown. Like, okay, great job, babyface territory. Nope. Don Sal, you had it right all along. # strong heel territory.
Yep.
But yeah, this segment was magical. And Joe,
so great.
Joe, I mean, we've given Joe plenty of crap for being past his prime and not being able to bring it in the ring, but he more than made up for it with this segment alone. He made up for the past year of mediocre matches with one segment.
Oh, this was Joe's best work since TNA, I'd say.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And even then, maybe Joe's best work since the unbelievable Aces and Eights eulogy.
Yeah.
Do you remember that segment where they're eulogizing the Aces and Eights?
Yeah.
And Joe's eating a sandwich.
You told me about that, and I went and watched it, and I'm like,
isn't it great?
This is fucking
It's the best segment in the history of TNA.
Yeah.
Other than maybe the wedding and the Ric Flair Jay Lethal promo battle.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three best segments in the history of TNA.
It takes a special brand of performer to be able to have that moment of being just very soft-spoken, but scary as fuck. And to then just revert to straight murderer.
Something I learned when I was a teacher, and that I don't always follow. And Don Sal, this is a lesson from one former teacher to one future teacher, is that if you really want the kids to pay attention, lower your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it forces them to lean in and understand and what's he saying? What's he saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not everything needs to be shouty, and that's coming from me, a guy who screams every week.
Yeah.
Not everything, and him going up to Paul Heyman and stroking his face and saying, "I'm really sorry, but I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
And then killing him is the best. And then did you see him on Twitter? He was like, "Yeah, I hope the message was received. I would hate to have to send it again."
Yeah.
Like, sociopathic Samoa Joe is the greatest, my favorite character on Raw by miles.
This is what Kevin Owens should have been on the main roster. But I don't mind that because now we have Samoa Joe being that, and it's fucking perfect. So, great. I mean, but other than that, I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot to like on Raw. I got to be honest.
The Miz and Dean Ambrose was pretty great.
Yeah,
the Miz destroying the Miz being smart enough. Okay, so the Miz got a giant box from Maurice, and because the Miz is not stupid, he thought Dean Ambrose was hiding in the box.
Yeah.
So he went and destroyed the box because the Miz is gene savvy. But Dean Ambrose wasn't in the box. It was an actual present from Maurice. It was like a grandfather clock.
Yeah. And to be fair,
the Miz dropping the elbow like he's Ric Flair on a box. You should have taken the jacket off first, but still pretty great.
I will say this. I will. This is going to be a rare moment. Mark this day down in history as a rare moment of me giving credit to the Miz for something. In character, the Miz watched plenty of good Dean Ambrose segments because those were all things that Dean Ambrose had done before. He's hidden in mascot suits. He's hidden in boxes. During the whole time of him demonizing Seth Rollins in 2014 and 2015, those were things that he did to Seth Rollins. So credit to the Miz.
Savvy. He was just wrong.
Yeah, but he would watch one segment too few because Dean has pulled the whole cameraman / ringside worker gimmick before on somebody else. I don't remember who it was on, but he's pulled that gimmick before with somebody else too. But the Miz was not smart to it there. But either way, it worked. It worked fantastically well. But I mean, yeah, Samoa Joe and the Miz and Dean Ambrose were the highlights of Raw. I love. I'm going to echo the boss Gino Morasco segment here. That I love that Heyman has Brock in his phone as just Brock. In all capital letters.
It was the best.
Fantastic.
What other Brocks do you need? You just need the one Brock.
Yeah, that really is all. That's all there is to it.
I am excited. I hope you know. I am a Brock mark.
Yeah, I know you love him. Yeah,
I love Brock. I hope he cares. I hope this isn't like Dean Ambrose. I hope he cares.
I think this has the capacity because I think Samoa Joe is old enough and wise enough to know that, if Brock is gonna try and turn this into some sort of glorified squash, I think Joe is gonna talk to the Samoan Joe, aka Roman Reigns, and just say, "Okay, what did you do to get a good, decent match out of Brock?" And Roman's gonna
punch him in the face really hard.
Punch him in the mouth, and it's like, okay, cool. Hopefully they give this match enough time so that Joe has the opportunity to do that, and we can get then a good match as a result of it.
Yeah, I am excited for this match.
Yeah.
SmackDown.
No. The only thing about SmackDown that was at all worthwhile was the Usos and New Day promo.
And the Fashion Files.
And the Fashion Files. Yeah.
SmackDown Tag Team Division?
Yeah, SmackDown Tag Team Division is...
Ready? The SmackDown Tag Team Division is the best division in the WWE.
On the main roster of WWE.
Yeah, on the main roster. Because I think the NXT upper card is a little better.
Yeah, the NXT men's singles division right now is...
Yeah, with Bobby Roode and Roddy Strong, I think that's a little better.
Yeah, but... Yeah, the NXT, the WWE SmackDown Live tag team division is the best division on the main roster right now. I mean, it's only taken 3 teams to do that: the Usos, the Breezango, and the New Day. Already the best.
That's it. Great. The New Day turning black when they went in the room. Why are we black and white? That was great. The little pegboard with the signs. The Usos pointing the gun. Get him! Cocaine Usos the best. Like
I will never be tired of the Usos delivering the coked up promos that ending with "It's not paranoia, it's the Usos." I will never be tired of it. It's the best line. It's the best ending to a promo that WWE has right now. It's the best tagline that they have, and it's perfect for them.
No, it's great.
I love the hell out of it.
I also love that they're gaining weight because they're Samoans on the other side of 30. Living the gimmick. The two things you can count on people of Samoan descent in wrestling is that they're super athletic and they get super fat super quickly.
Yeah.
And the Usos are both of those things. And I don't care. I think it suits their gimmick more that they're a little huskier.
Yeah, and they're also not wrestling with their shirts off anymore too, which works fine. And Sal actually brought up.
I think it suits their gimmick a little bit to be a little thicker, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Sal actually mentioned another thing I forgot, which was that Mojo Rawley's promo or Mojo Rawley's dialogue with Shane McMahon. Actually, that worked really well. That worked too. I will give credit.
And
to that,
my boy AJ Styles, Death Slot AJ, had a good match with Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, we got to give credit to that. I mean, AJ dragging a good match out of Dolph Ziggler again.
It's AJ's a fucking savant.
Would you like to know? I'm gonna very quickly do something that I was thinking about last night while I was watching NXT. Would you like to know a brief list of wrestling related things outside of WWE that I watched in the past week that I enjoyed more than this week's main roster WWE programming?
Sure, and I'll tell you the stuff I watched this last week outside of WWE that I enjoyed more.
Number one, very obviously, the Best of the Super Juniors final, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yes.
Number two, the final 6-woman tag match in Stardom that involved Io Shirai, Kairi Hojo, and Mayu Iwatani tagging together as Threedom. The final one, and I won't lie, I shed a couple of tears over it, but it was the last one, and I loved the hell out of it. And number three, and this is the one that's going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, Stardom's Johnkin tournaments. If you don't know what Johnkin is, it's rock, paper, scissors.
Really?
Stardom has a rock, paper, scissors tournament, and I enjoyed that more than most of main roster WWE this week. I watched the whole thing. There were it's a bracket style tournament. It's done all in one day because it's freaking rock, paper, scissors. But the entire thing is purely for comedy because all the girls participating in it, they all get dressed up in different costumes and shit. Toni Storm dressed up as Rossy Ogawa, the owner of Stardom.
Nice.
That was hilarious. Tessa Blanchard dressed up as Toni Storm, complete with padding around her ass. Chris Wolf just put on a giant wolf head. The whole thing was just pure comedy, but it was fucking hilarious. Io Shirai, easily the best moment of the whole thing. She dressed as a Japanese evil spirit, as like a ghost. And when she got up to, she actually wound up facing Toni Storm for rock, paper, scissors. She got up and she had a hammer and a screw in her hand, and she said, "I will destroy Toni Storm's butt." I'm not even kidding.
Huh.
She said, "I will destroy Toni Storm's butt with the hammer."
I'm just gonna let that one hang out there. I'm not gonna respond to that.
It was it's fucking comedy, rock, paper, scissors, and I enjoyed that more than main roster WWE. What the fuck is wrong with this company?
Here's what I watched. Here's what I watched in the past week other than main roster WWE.
Yeah.
I watched an episode of Lucha Underground from season 1 because I'm still catching up.
Okay.
I watched the Best of Super Junior final, and it was amazing, as we'll get to.
Yep.
And I watched an episode of Monday Night Raw from 1997, and it kicked ass.
Nice.
It was Bret Hart being awesome in Our Foundation versus DX versus all sorts of fun stuff. It was before the 10-man Canadian Stampede, so it was still Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Mm-hmm. After WrestleMania 13, but before the blow-off at the Canadian Stampede, and it was great.
Nice.
Because wrestling makes sense back then.
Oh, wrestling outside of WWE still makes sense now, but that's besides the point.
Super Juniors.
This match,
so good.
Davey Hammer Curls gave it 5 stars. I know some people are saying it's a little high, but I'm right there with him.
I'm right there. What did you like more? Ospreay and Kushida killing you, or the 2 head spikes? Did you notice that? One on the apron and one on the... There were 2 head spikes, guys.
There were 2.
One on the apron and one from the top rope that was so brutal.
Yeah.
I was recoiling in terror from the screen.
Yeah.
Either Ospreay and Kushida are the 2 best sellers of all time, or these 2 are absolutely killing each other.
Yeah, I mean, everything in this match from the get-go was stiff as shit. It was
How about the 5 super kicks to the face in the corner?
Oh my God. I was like getting.
Oh my God, he's already dead.
I was getting like shivers watching that.
Yeah.
Not in a good way.
We'll set the scene. Kushida's in the corner, and Will Ospreay he does a spot where you know how like Roman Reigns does the forearms in the corner.
Yeah.
Will Ospreay does like full blown super kicks to the guy in the corner, and normally he just slaps the thigh and does a super kick because he's indie-rific. Not this time. He was kicking dude in the face.
And these were also the kicks where, like, Kushida was mounted up on the top rope. You know that spot like Ciampa does, where the guy is up on the top rope and he Ospreay knocked him down, and then would like stuffed his head up against the corner buckle pad so that he like couldn't get himself out, and then kicks him straight in the face. And Ospreay then went back and did it again and again and again and again. So not only is Kushida taking these kicks to the face, but he's also unable to dismount himself from the top rope and escape. Yeah. Which it's got to be one of the most. It was
like 25 minutes.
It's got to be one of the most physically uncomfortable positions.
There was like 25 minutes of this.
Yeah,
brother Chris.
The whole match
and the entire match changed. It was like 3 different matches.
Yeah. I mean, again, I talked about the Shirai Storm match and all the limb targeting and the selling, and Ospreay and Kushida did that here too. I mean, oh my God, so much good targeting of limbs and so much good selling.
Setting up the hoverboard lock and
setting up that hoverboard lock, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he had that hoverboard lock in for a while too.
Yeah, he did.
It was.
So is he beating Tanahashi? Or Takahashi, excuse me.
Well, let's go to the Dominion 611 coverage now, and I'm saying, yeah,
I think he does too. I think it's his redemption story.
This is what I predicted too. If we go back,
let's do real quick because we're coming up against a Dominion 611 preview.
Because
I'm Dominion 611 in Osaka Joe Hall.
Yeah,
I'm skipping all the tag matches. I don't care.
Well, no, we do have to cover
except for 2 that I do care about.
Well, yeah, match 1 and match 2 we can skip. Match 3 is where it starts to get important, which is a gauntlet match. There's a reason why we call this event Wrestle Kingdom 11.5 because there are so many repeats of matches that happen at Wrestle Kingdom 11, but that doesn't matter because these are going to be awesome. So first up, we've got a gauntlet match for the Never Open Man open weight 6-man tag belts. It's going to have 5 teams in it, representing each of the 5 factions in New Japan. We've got our LIJ champions, Bushi, Evil, and Sonata. Representing Bullet Club, we've got Bad Luck Fale, Hangman Page, and Yujiro Takahashi.
That's a terrible stable.
Yeah, well, they were also the ones that fought in the Wrestle Kingdom 11 gauntlet, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just lose out there. Chaos's team is Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, and Yoshihashi. Suzuki Gun is sending in Taichi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, and Zack Sabre Jr.
And Zack Labor Jr. today, my friend.
Yeah, Zack Labor Jr. And Taguchi Japan is sending in Juice Robinson, Ricochet, and Ryusuke Taguchi.
Who wins?
I'm thinking we get either LIJ retaining again or Chaos winning it.
Really? I'm thinking it's going to Taguchi Japan.
Yeah, they just had it though.
I don't care. They don't care.
Ryusuke has held these belts twice already this year with different partners. So I'm going to give it to Chaos. This is also actually Ricochet has also held these belts twice this year, also with different partners.
Sure.
I'm going to give it to Chaos because I think that Ishii, Yano, and Yoshihashi, they're not really doing much right now. They kind of need to do something to get them out of the endless array of 6, 8, and 10-man tags that they have. So I'm gonna say that Chaos is going with it. It's either Chaos or LIJ retaining. Those are my 2 possibilities.
I'm game. Roppongi Vice versus the Bucks.
Oh yeah.
IWGP Junior. Who you got?
I'm gonna stick with Roppongi Vice. They just won these belts back.
Yeah, agreed.
They retain here.
War Machine versus your boys, Gorilla of Destiny.
Oh, this is gonna be a hell of a match.
A lot of profanity in this match.
Oh my god, there's gonna be so much profanity. Gorillas of Destiny are my boys. I am definitely buying that shirt ASAP. Now that they finally have their shirt up on Pro Wrestling Tees. But I
just ordered a New Japan hoodie. I can't wait for it to be delivered.
Nice. I'm sticking with War Machine here because they haven't had the belts for very long, so I think they retain.
And they're great at it.
Yeah, they are. Crowd loves him. They still got the investment. But I think that Gorillas win it back at what is the next event? I mean, we've got the G1.
Lionsgate, the G1, right?
Yeah, I don't think they get it back at the G1. I think it might be at Destruction.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say
Cody versus Big Mike.
Cody wins. I don't care.
Here we go. Here comes the fun. You ready?
Yeah.
Hiromu Takahashi versus Kushida.
Kushida takes it.
Yeah, agreed. It's his redemption story, and it's a good story too.
It's a fantastic story. I love it. I mean, this has been this is actually builds all the way back to Wrestle Kingdom when Hiromu first won the belt from him, and since then Kushida has not been able to get a win over the guy at all. So,
including a 2-minute squash.
Yeah, that 2-minute squash has got to still be weighing on him. So I'm calling it for Kushida to get the win here.
Okay. This is Minoru Suzuki versus Hiroki Goto.
The rematch.
That's like saying his name. The rematch. Lumberjack death match.
Yeah, this is going to be fucking insane.
Gonna be guys just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, Chaos guys.
As JR would say, not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, the Chaos guys and the Suzuki Gun guys are gonna all be just fucking brawling to shit. I'm gonna say that Suzuki retains though because Suzuki ridiculousness. But I mean, it's gonna be a hell of a match. And let me just say that Goto. I mean, let me just take a moment for Chaos in general as a stable. I found a picture earlier today. Or it was I don't know if actually no it was actually late last night. I found a picture of the guys from Chaos, the Japanese guys in Chaos, all posed for a picture after a press conference. And I mean it's the 7 Japanese guys in Chaos. You've got Gedo, Jado, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, Yoshihashi, Hiroki Goto, and Kazuchika Okada. Now Okada is 29 years old. So, and he is the youngest man in his stable. Let me repeat that again. Kazuchika Okada, the centerpiece of his stable, is also the youngest guy in his stable. With the exception of Yoshihashi, everybody else in the stable is... Actually, no, even Yoshihashi. Everybody else in the stable is over 35. Like, these are all like guys who are supposed to be in the twilights of their career, and yet they're still putting in good to great matches on a regular basis. And Yoshihashi, Ishii, Goto, these guys are still amazing in the ring. So props to those dudes, and props to Okada for keeping the old men together like that. Good job, guys.
Yeah. Here we go.
I got some interesting theories on this next one. I gotta get through. Yeah, Naito versus Tanahashi.
First of all, Tanahashi should not be wrestling, but that ship has sailed. New Japan does that.
Well, that's what my theories are about. Yeah. So as we've covered in recent weeks, Tanahashi has a torn bicep. The recommendation was that he get surgery on it. Surgery would cause him to miss the G1, but he would be back in time for the Dome. And it would also cause him to miss Dominion. But like I said, he'd be back in time for the Dome. Tanahashi opted and said to rehab the elbow, the bicep, and is going to be instead wrestling in this match. He currently has a hole in his bicep, and
there's literally a hole in dude's arm.
Yeah. Now here's my thought. Now, Gedo and Kadani, for all their want to compete with WWE as they break into the US, and for all their love of the fact that Tanahashi is the eternal ace, I firmly believe that these two are not stupid. And I also firmly believe that New Japan, much like WWE, has some sort of policy in place whereby they can tell the wrestlers, no, we're not letting you continue like this. You need to take the time off, and you need to do what you need to do for your medical purposes. Yes, I know Japan is a little bit different in terms of the whole idea of, honorable competition and, upholding one's legacy and all that. But, New Japan, bottom line, is a business. So my belief here is that what we're going to see is that Naito is going to win this match, and that is going to lead to Tanahashi being sent on medical leave to get the bicep operated on and fixed, and that he will be back in time for the Dome.
Oh,
That is
Naito wins dirty.
Maybe, but I think, but this also has implications in the main event, and this is like a bit of a long-term scenario here that I think gets us to a very interesting Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Okay.
But I wanna kind of run through this here. Let's do the main event, and then I'll run through the full gamut of things. My prediction, like I said, my prediction is that Naito wins and Tanahashi then goes out for it.
My prediction is that Naito wins and Naito wins.
Yeah.
Kaz Okada versus Kenny Omega.
This is it. This is the moment. Omega's hitting the one-winged angel and winning the title.
100%.
Yeah.
And you know what? When that happens, we have to have words for the majesty of this Kaz Okada title run.
Yeah.
Because it has been a run for the ages.
I know that there are plenty of people
who match against match after match after match with guy after guy after guy, and they've all been amazing.
Yeah. I know there are plenty of guys out there who don't like Okada, who think that he's not the best, and have issues with some of his styles, but this guy's a fucking maestro.
He is a master.
Yeah.
He has had matches with everybody this title run, and they've all been great.
Yeah.
He had a good match with Bad Luck Fale, who's both old and fat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a match of the century with Katsuyori Shibata.
Yep.
That will go down in history as one of the best matches that has been the close of a career in a very long time.
Agreed.
I mean, just so much goodness to this title run. But the long-term implications of this, we have Naito retaining and Omega getting the title. So my thought process here is that, well, we need to have something happen whereby Naito can transition himself away from this title, because it's very clear before Tanahashi injured himself that this was going to be the moment where Naito lost the belt. So my thought process is that we see at the G1 event in the US, I'm going to call this now, that we're going to see an IWGP Intercontinental title match between Tetsuya Naito and Kazuchika Okada.
Ooh.
And the title's going to change hands there, and Okada's going to take the belt.
In Long Beach?
In Long Beach.
Okay.
And following that, when we get back to the US and we have we get into the G1, my prediction is that we start the G1 with Naito making a fiery declaration of, well, fine, let your corporate champion take the IC title that I've ruined and destroyed the legacy of. I don't care. I'm going to do the same now to the heavyweight title and go on to have a fucking record-setting run to win the G1 and to go on to face Omega for the main event to Wrestle Kingdom 12. And in the meantime, Kazuchika Okada becomes the Shinsuke Nakamura of the Intercontinental title belt. I mean, Nakamura restored the belt's reputation. Okada's going to restore the belt's physical image and continue to, give it an excellent reputation. That's my thought process. And it will all then lead back to Tanahashi coming back at the Dome and then challenging for the IC title against Okada.
Really? As your semi-main?
As the semi-main.
And then the main is going to be Naito and Omega.
And that, I think, makes sense. I think it honestly makes sense because Naito and Omega right now are the two most over performers in New Japan, without a doubt. And the fact that they're both supposed to be heels and are getting face pops from the crowd, it only makes sense to have them go against each other and just let the crowd enjoy the hell out of the match.
Okay.
That's honestly the best thing to do. It's the same thing as Nakamura Styles was at Wrestle Kingdom 10. For all intents and purposes. Two guys the whole crowd loves, both are, have pretty bad attitudes and should be portraying bad guys. The crowd's going to cheer them anyway. So just let the crowd enjoy an awesome match and forget about alignments for a second. There'll probably be all sorts of ridiculous overbooking nonsense of Bullet Club and LIJ members running in and fighting each other. Hell, you could even make it another lumberjack death match if you really wanted to. But, just let it be what it is. And let the crowd just enjoy what would be undoubtedly excellent wrestling match. And I think that's the moment where you crown Naito also. So that's my long-term thought process in terms of Tanahashi's health, and Naito switching into the heavyweight title scene, and Okada continuing to hold the championship despite, because Okada has to, as the 200 million yen project, he basically has to have a title. So, that's my thought process on that.
Okay, I'm game.
You think it's feasible?
I think it's feasible. I think Okada's main eventing the Dome, regardless of what belt he's holding, as the 200 million yen guy. I think that's just a given. But I can see it. I can absolutely see it. I do definitively see Omega winning this match, though.
Yeah.
And it dovetails off the story they told at the Dome with the One-Winged Angel.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Real quick, I just want to run through one last thing, which is
sure. And then I got one closing note.
Yeah, Kairi Hojo had her final show with Stardom this week on Sunday night. It was a fitting end to her career with the company. They had a very lovely tribute video to her, and they got the last bit of business with the company out of the way that she had, which is that they had to have her drop the Artist of Stardom title along with her partners Konami and Hiromi Momura, losing the titles to, of all people, Io Shirai, HCK, and AZM. So Io Shirai is once again a double title holder in Stardom, even though she's also on her way out the door. But yeah, so Kairi has lost her title, and then after that, though, they had a really, really nice bit. I mean, during this match, like Kairi and Io went to war with each other in this match. And so they were all just kind of beaten senseless. But Kairi was still energetic afterwards, and they decided to do Kairi Hojo versus Stardom. 10 one-on-one matches, each with a 1-minute time limit in rapid succession. So let's see. Kairi had two wins, 1 loss, and 7 draws in this 10 1-minute matches. And then they finished off with some very lovely speeches by most of the roster, all talking about how much of an inspiration she'd been, how much she'd been the central part of the company, et cetera, et cetera. It was a really nice end to her Stardom career. And the event is mostly up on Stardom World. The only thing that is not there are the 10 1-minute matches and the closing speeches, but everything else is up. So if you want to see the end of Kairi Hojo's Stardom career, the final closing show, that is up now, and I highly recommend you should go and watch it.
Cool.
And we also want to give a quick shout out to our fellow podcasting brethren on CageSideSeats.com, your one-stop shop for wrestling news and banter, because we've gotten some shout outs and we want to return the favor in kind. So be sure you're tuning in Thursdays, Not Your Demographic with Stunning Stella Cheeks and the enigmatic Aaron Klein. Gets posted.
Chicago, much like myself.
Yep, great show. Definitely tune in. We've also got Rudo Radio, and on Fridays, our buddies Don Sal and 14 Fitzpatrick with their show Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. They're on the same number of episodes as us. So if we keep this going on a weekly basis, we're gonna continue to be concurrent with them. But yeah, definitely check it out. They're an entirely different show from us, but still a lot of fun to listen to, fun to check out. So have some fun.
Two quick things.
Mm-hmm.
One, a friend of the program, it's $9.99, Magal, which I love to say, has taken over the front page Ring of Honor weekly show recaps on CageSideSeats.com. He started off with a bang, 2,500 words on Ring of Honor television. I encourage you all to check it out.
Yep.
Because Ring of Honor may not be what it once was, but it's still pretty damn good every now and again, especially with War Machine or killing dudes.
Yeah.
So I would recommend that. Props to Magal for taking that on, and he did a great job with his first recap, and I look forward to seeing him keep doing it.
Yeah.
And we'll be back Friday night, 8 days from now.
Yeah.
We'll go way more into detail about New Japan, and we will preview Money in the Bank.
Yes, we will. I completely forgot the last show that I completely forgot to plug, which is Wednesday Night Shooting with Andrew Swift and Tanya Rogers. Which is always a fun listen. So definitely
always.
And of course, always Cage Side Speaks after major events, and the occasional Cage Side Live with our friends Sean Reuter and oh my God, Dia. No,
yes,
yes, after NXT events, yeah. And that's the full. We've got a lot of podcast content on Cage Side Seats.
We do, because we're awesome. We're your one-stop shop for wrestling news and banter.
Yes.
So that's it.
That's it for
us. I will
this
be in the threads if anyone wants to say hi. I'm up for another half hour or so following this wacky ass election from the UK.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else, brother Chris?
No, I'll be around as well. So stop by, drop us a comment. We'll have some more conversations. And if you can, go on to New Japan World and check out the recent press conference that our buddy Tetsuya Naito had that was interrupted by Hiromu Takahashi, causing Naito to break Tranquilo, which was hilarious.
Always hilarious.
Yeah.
So that's it. Thanks for listening. See you all 8 days from now.
And don't work yourselves into a shoot, and have a wonderful night.
Bye, guys.